It is not your responsibility to hold all that weight on your shoulder. It's not your responsibility to make the venue successful. It's your responsibility to add, right? To add another element of enjoyment to the venue. It's the icing on the cake. The cake is how the business. I'm Phoenix Novell, and I'm a singer, songwriter, rapper, producer, entrepreneur.
No question, no lies, I'm a boss bitch. And a God, I'm a grind till my heart quits. Is she hungry for the money? Is she all in? Is she no slave? And she gonna win. Big bands to the side, ain't no losses. Stack bands, no ties, except for my kid. Only thing that's on her mind is to be rich. And she no slave, and she gonna win. No sleep, no sleep.
What's up, guys? It's your girl Phoenix Novell, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Musicians on Gigs. Now, this video is entitled The Musician's Job. I recently made a video that encouraged artists to be multi-dimensional. I was saying that if you can offer more services and you can do more and you could be more useful to the client and the band as a whole, that you will be more valuable. It'll be harder to replace you, But I want to clarify, because sometimes artists go too far. Sometimes we lose ourselves and our initial job description suffers because of it, okay? Number one, you are not responsible for the success of the venue that you're performing at. I want to say that again, because a lot of people will come to you and ask you for your creative ideas. A lot of people will want to, they'll want to include you, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's really easy to go down the path of holding yourself accountable if an idea you had fails, in the sense of it does not turn out to be a profitable investment for the venue you're performing at. Say, for instance, they asked you for some ideas, like party ideas, and you suggested to hire dancers, or you suggested to bring in a guest DJ or a special act, whatever. And maybe they trusted your opinion because it was fresh, it was new, and they see that you have had success on the touring circuit or whatever, and they go ahead and they follow the path, and then nobody shows up, or the artist or person you recommended or talent you brought in does something that they don't like. But ultimately, if it doesn't work, it's really easy for people to look at you as the problem or the reason for that, when all you did was suggest something. These venues want to sell. If you're performing at a bar, if you're performing at a nightclub, if you're performing somewhere where it's not like a corporate function, if you will, they want to sell alcohol, drinks, food, okay? And you're there to keep them there so that they'll buy more of whatever they are selling. They're paying you. So in their eyes, you are staff, okay? And so let's get that straight. Your job description has nothing to do with marketing and promotion, right? Unless that's in your contract, which most of the time it's not, right? Your job is to be the best artist you can be, to be intriguing on stage, to deliver powerhouse performances, to connect with the audience, to vibe, to make the music come alive, to make them want to see you perform more than they want to see the 1,000,001 other bands and live shows on that same block sometimes, right? Or in the same area. That is your job. And that's a hell of a difficult job, right? Because you have to stay on your A game. You can't be stressed out or thinking too much about the business side of shit, that you fall short delivering what you're being paid to do. Because even with you giving all them creative ideas and you contributing to them being successful or bringing your friends along or trying to boost revenue for them, if you start to suck or stop putting in the effort to be a great artist, that's going to reflect poorly on you and your band. And the people who do come will see that as such as well. Even if management is happy, you won't look the best that you can be or have your, when you're fresh, you look a certain way, you feel a certain way, you have stamina. If what you love to do and what you're doing primarily suffers, then you're wearing too many hats, right? Like you need to have a conversation about your job description. And so I advise every artist, right? Like a lot of us have agents who serves as our protection and buffer to some extent with upper management of the venue that we're performing in, right? And it over time you develop relationships with people. So I'm not telling you that you can't talk to managers or you can't talk to clients or staff. In the entertainment world, these roles are not exclusive. A lot of them in upper management are also artists themselves. So maybe they do understand the artist world and have some feedback and want to connect with you and want to talk about what songs you should sing. I'm not saying that none of that is a good thing. I'm saying that you have to be protective of that fine line between, all right, let me do my job and not getting too invested in those areas of the business that have nothing to do with me. This is where agents are really important. Okay, agents are really important to protect the artist so that they don't seem like they're being the bad guy. Now, some artists have managers as well, okay? But a lot of the time, there's agents who kind of serve as the representation between the two. So say, for instance, there's an agent who books for artists for a venue, and that same agent may represent the artist as well or be the liaison for both parties. This could be looked at as a conflict of interest to some people because if you have a problem, if this is your agent and they also represent the client, but you have a problem with the client, who does the agent advocate for, right? So this could be an issue. Same thing with the manager. Maybe the manager represents the client as well as the artist, which can also be a conflict of interest because there's double dipping going on and you have to question the loyalty. So this is the business side of things. This is where a lot of artists get into very uncomfortable situations because they don't know if they can trust the agent to be honest about what they feel about the client. And they don't know if they get close to the client, what the client will say to the agent about them, right? What happens when the client wants to get a hold of you and wants to get close to you and wants to communicate and talk to you, and then they decide that they don't like you anymore. And then that relationship has gone cold, and now you as the artist start to feel like you did something wrong. There is so many ways that this could go left. So artists need to be really, really selective of the agent that represents them if they don't also have a manager who deals with that agent. All right. You got to be really careful because you're building a reputation as you tour, as you meet new people, as you represent yourself, as you conduct yourself. You are, and people talk, right? Sometimes we use recommendations based on what somebody said you were to work with. And the worst thing is for you not to do your due diligence and just assume that an agent or a manager will represent you properly, and you find out this isn't the best match for you, and then you burn that bridge, right? And now there's word out there that you're a horrible person to work with, right? Do your due diligence. Listen to people, ask for recommendations, communicate, make it clear that you know where an agent stands or where a manager stands. Are you representing me solely or are you representing both of us? If there's a conflict, who are you helping? That's an issue to get out of the way before you sign anything. Because if you need to get out of a contract because because the contract was breached in some way, is the agent going to try to make you feel like you got to stay or try to force you to stay? Or are they going to fight on your behalf because the contract was breached on the part of the client? So I say all this to say, hold your representation accountable to keep you safe, a nice safe distance. If the client wants to have a relationship with you, that there should be a communication with your agent or representation so that they'll be there present, so that you're not promising what you can't deliver. Because sometimes you're maybe enthused because there's all this attention shown to you. Oh, wow, they like me. They like my style. They want to get close to me. That's nice. But it's cold. It is cold when the communication stops for whatever the reason is. Maybe they realize, you know what, it's probably not a good idea to be one-on-one communicating with this artist because the artist is an artist. You know, they're emotional, they're eager. Maybe they don't agree with my ideas and now I feel slighted and now I want to create distance. Agents, if there's any agents or managers watching this, do not put your artists in a situation where they have to make decisions for themselves based on how close they get and how close the client wants to get to them. Of course, they want to be the good guy or good girl. They don't want to be seen as a problem or seen as standoffish, right? But as their representation, it doesn't make you bad by maintaining those boundaries. Hey, listen, let me know, let everything go through me. Probably a good idea if you talk to me first, or I'm there at the meetings if you have any creative ideas, just so that we're all on the same page of what they are supposed to be doing and what they're doing extra. Not me learning later on what the conversation was about, or not me trying to figure out if something goes left, who's wrong or who's right, because I wasn't in the loop the whole time. If you are representing an artist, and I'm pivoting, if you are representing an artist, okay, as a manager, as an agent, right? Even to a certain extent, if you're doing a finder's fee type of situation because you have contacts, I think it needs to be really clear of what each person is responsible to do and that you should be the liaison. Maybe not for the person who's doing the finder's fee, just connecting people, but as an agent who's getting paid, you know what I mean? Who the artist is usually going through their company, you got to protect the artists. Protect them, protect their emotions, protect them, even if they think that everything is fine. When I was booking artists, I had a contract and I had a clause in the contract. I don't want you talking one-on-one to my artists. Even if you don't understand why. I don't want, for the safety and security of you and them, I don't want you talking one-on-one to them. Now, whatever happens in real life, that's between y'all. But I'm covering my ass and I'm covering the artist's ass and your ass on paper so that we all know if something goes wrong, it ain't because I was negligent, right? It ain't because I didn't think of this. This is the reason why that's in place. This is the reason why, because artists, we're emotional. We care. If we took a gig, we associate our success with the venue's success to some extent. And the more an artist does this, and we travel and we tour and we understand, and if we have good representation, that the turnout does not reflect on us if we're doing our job and we're, doing what we say we was going to do, then we are in a position to absorb that and not take it so personally. Like, we're like, okay, you know what? I get it. It is what it is. But new artists, artists who are eager to prove themselves, artists who are singled out by clients and who are like expected to be this grandiose, and then there is just no people coming into the venue or nobody booking tickets or nobody coming to see the show, we can really get beside ourselves. I remember one time a manager said to me, I was at a gig and then I had to go, I had another contract lined up, but they wanted me to stay. It was packed. It was a brand new club. I came back, I think 3 months later. I think I came back 3 months later, maybe a little bit longer. And over the time that I was gone, they had already sent me another contract and wanted to extend me. And I was like, all right, negotiate the terms when I came back. When I came back, the club, it was barely anybody in there. And so I guess they were trying to bring me back because they thought that I would be able to, boost the clientele back up. And I did the best I could. I overextended myself because I wanted to justify to myself and to them that I was a great investment. And I suffered in the long run because I did not understand how to create that space between me as an artist and the business as a business, right? Like, it is not your responsibility to hold all that weight on your shoulder. It's not your responsibility to make the venue successful. It's your responsibility to add, right? To add another element of enjoyment to the venue. It's the icing on the cake. The cake is how the business is structured. The cake is the bar staff and the waiters and the employees and the managers and how they deal with customer service and clientele, the food, the quality of the alcohol they're serving, all of the how cold it is, the layout, the way the room feels, the ambiance, all of that. If a venue or a club or an establishment puts real time and effort and attention into those things, that icing just makes it that much more delectable, that much more luxurious. You are not responsible for the success of the venue. I will tell you this. You can definitely be the reason, one of the reasons for a venue to not be successful. Okay? And you can be one of the reasons that a venue is talked about a lot. But you are not responsible. You are not responsible for the success of the venue. Okay? I have to spell that out. You can be a component to why a venue has a bad review because you, again, let's focus on your responsibility as a musician, because you are unprepared, or you stumble on stage, or you hit on the customers, or you disrespect the customers, or you like there's things that you can do that could make the experience not pleasant for a customer. But if people are paying attention, the client is paying attention, you won't be there that long anyway to do real damage, is what I'm saying. Right? So you won't be the sole reason as a musician, that a business collapses. Now, when we talk about weddings and private functions and these one-off situations, right? That is a little bit different because these are usually memory-centric events where if you don't get that song right, or one of the musicians is drunk on stage, or you're look a shitty mess, or you say the wrong thing on the mic, or you do something that really really damages the quality of experience for that bride or groom, or that business exec or this function, because it's a one-time event, they can definitely try their best to say, this is why this thing fucked up and I want my money back, right? And the venue can be like, yo, I'm suing y'all. So that's a little bit different, okay? So musicians, but if you're on a tour, or if you have a residency somewhere where you are a part of so many other things going on, it's different. Even with the one-offs, like I just mentioned, catering is important, all the decorations, the employees, whoever is running the reception and all that kind of stuff, that stuff is important too. So I'm not making it seem like you're but you get what I'm saying. Artists who are like me, who do the residencies where we're doing hotel gigs, or where we're doing nightclub gigs, or where we're traveling and we're somewhere more than just once a night, those kind of situations can be, it's much harder for people to pin the success of the night or failure of it on you. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. So in summation, artists, it's nice to help out and give ideas, but you need to hold your agents and managers accountable for being the bad guy if you're too shy or nervous to say, I really don't feel comfortable, taking on that responsibility because I don't want to feel bad if it doesn't turn out right, or I don't want to feel that weight on me to be the person who comes up with these creative ideas for this to win if it doesn't win, right? Or it's just too much pressure. I don't want you to be afraid to say that. I don't want you to be afraid to say that. And if you have to say it to your agent to say it for you, that's fine too. But it'll be worse if you do too much too quickly, right? If you've been with a company for 6 months or so and there is a genuine respect for each other, and you're not mapping out a whole blueprint for success, but you're saying, hey, well, maybe we should do a theme night or two. Or maybe, we should do ladies' night, or that is less committal. All right. Because you're just throwing something out there and you let them run with it. But you should not be taking responsibility for going to get costumes for the fucking theme night, or for being in charge of the layout of the night. Like you gotta temper yourself, because there are people in those roles for a reason. People will take everything you give them for free, but they will be quick to charge you the moment you do something wrong in your job description. See what I'm saying? So it's best that you save and conserve your energy for what you're being paid to do, rather than you try to give all this and think, oh, I'm giving so much, they must value me. No, because sometimes they're just taking. And if they don't have to pay for it, then what's the harm, right? If you're willing to take the blame, if you're willing to exhaust your life force with all these energy, and then they go cold on you because nothing's working. I want you to protect yourself. Not all of us have agents who are on top of it. Not all of us have managers who hover. And sometimes we want a hovering manager who isn't afraid to be the bad guy. Say, listen, I'm going to need you to communicate with me, because I have a deal with them that represents what I expect from them. And if what I expect from them is being interfered with, I need to know about it, because I can't hold them accountable if the job description changed. And I don't want us to have a problem because they're going and doing something with you that we didn't even agree upon, right? So it just makes things clear. Maybe you don't like your agent, right? And you want to develop that relationship to the client one-on-one. I'm going to tell you this. You need to always stick with who got you there. Even if you know that after they get you back home safe and sound, you're probably never going to use them again. It's safer with the devil in quotations. Because I'm not calling them a devil, but I'm just saying it's safer knowing somebody than jumping ship and just assuming that this bigger fish is going to have a true intention and value to get you to the next level. Don't burn a bridge just because you don't like where it's going. Just take note, okay? This isn't what I hoped it would be. This probably isn't the best representation for me, but I am not going to be, disloyal. I'm not going to be ungrateful. I'm just going to pivot when I get back and reassess. But some artists, they will jump and they will follow the agent, or they'll follow the client, or they'll go here or build relationships, hoping that those relationships will be more fruitful. I don't want you to hope. I don't want you to seem disloyal in the client's eyes, even though they loved getting their hands on you and communicating with you and taking all your ideas. They have no loyalty to you. They don't have to. Their loyalty is to the person who's bringing them multiple artists. So they're not going to abandon that agent or that manager just for one artist. Even if they'll talk shit about that agent to you or that manager to you and make you feel like you're no, you are just one artist in a business of theirs that needs many artists and many faces over long periods of time if they're going to be successful in business. So pick the right agent, pick the right manager, and you do this by doing your due diligence. All right, artists, I hope this helped. Understand what your job description is. And the moment you go above and beyond over that, you have to realize that you run the risk of being abused, right? Of abusing yourself, of giving too much of yourself, and feeling like the victim because you didn't know how to assert yourself, because you didn't know how to use your manager or representation to let the client know that that was too much, right? Sometimes you just want to give and want to share. then you need to reassess your job description. You need to figure out what you want to do more, because there is a very clear idea of what a musician's job is. The moment you decide that you want to be, decorating, and you want to be booking other artists or thinking about event planning, then you have to decide, what do I want more? And if I do take this on, maybe I should get paid for it. And am I good enough to get paid for doing this extra thing? Or am I just doing it for free because I'm not qualified to do it? Again, even if you're doing it for free because you're not qualified to do it, they may still blame you because it was a fail, right? So just don't borrow trouble. Don't borrow trouble that doesn't have to belong to you. That's not your responsibility. Be the best artist you can be. Be the best musician you can be. Once again, it's your girl, Phoenix Novell. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Musicians on Gigs, and I hope this helps. Enjoy the journey, guys. Have fun, and gig responsibly. Peace.